the big screen mainstream actors played in his history.
Well, so Doug, here's a question. How can you tell the difference between the real NFT and fake?
All right. Welcome to the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. I'm Josh.
I'm Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, good afternoon. Top of the day, top of the hour.
Some of my friends call me Carlos, though.
Carlos, Cryptolos, Mr. Harris. What are your other aliases?
I'm just going to be Mr. Harris and Cryptolos.
But today, which one?
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It goes back and forth.
I'm sorry to confuse you like this, Josh. I know you got a lot going on. 4 o'clock in the morning, you get to it. So my apologies. I'm simply going
No apologies needed, brother.
I'm going to be today Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris.
There you go.
Top of the hour.
Top of the day to you, sir.
Yes, sir. How is it going?
It's going.
Uh-huh.
So I went to the game this week. And I held off to talk to you about it. Yeah, I did. And I knew that you would have a lot to kind of fill us up on.
So here's a little funny before we get into that.
Okay.
I won my fantasy game, and I won because I played Geno Smith.
Okay, wait. What do you mean you won? What does this mean?
I won my game. I'm in a fantasy league at work.
Okay.
And my opponent, I won my game for fantasy football this week. And I won because I had Matthew Stafford as my starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he plays for the Rams, but nevertheless, 12:30 Sunday afternoon, I get a notification, a reminder that the Seahawks are playing the Lions.
Right.
And that Geno Smith may have a good game because he's playing the Lions defense.
Okay.
So at 12:30, right before kickoff at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I jump in. I find out, okay, who's available? Geno Smith. He's right there in the free agency pool.
Okay.
So I snatch him up. I start him as my QB on Sunday, and he helped me win. He got me 35 points. Wow. So pretty much I won because I played the Seahawks quarterback.
Okay. That sounds
I bet against our Lions.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're talking to someone who knows absolutely nothing about fantasy.
Okay, let me give you an analogy for fantasy football. Think of it this way. And you'll know what I mean if you ever get into it. It's Dungeons and Dragons for jocks.
Okay.
That's probably the best way I can put it.
Sounds like something else I wasn't interested in.
Once you get into it, you're hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but let's get to the game.
Okay.
You were at the game.
I went to the game.
Lots of energy.
Packed
Ford Field.
It was full.
Ooh, I bet.
It was so packed. And the greatest takeaway is you hear so many people downgrading the Lions, talking about the piss poor team, they'll never blah blah blah, but yet you have so many people that actually show up to support them. And I'll even take that back because I don't know if they're there to support them like me, right?
They are. It's both.
Okay.
They are there to support,
all right,
and they're also there for the excitement, the energy, the experience of being at a football game.
There it is. That's more of the reason why
Detroiters love to have a good time.
Man, we had a great time.
Yes.
Great time. But all the same, I do show up to support.
Yes.
Right. And I love the underdog. And
we want them to win.
I always want them to win. I
Absolutely.
thought it was a hell of a game. And then I have the friend who tells me, but Carlos, you really don't know about football. And they gave up 48 points, but they made 45 points.
Now, here's the little fact behind Sunday's game that came to light.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit right now has scored the most points in the NFL so far.
Get the hell out of here.
But they have also allowed the most points in the NFL so far.
Oh.
So that is some straight up Lions. What in the world? You're scoring the most points and you're also allowing the most points in the NFL.
Right.
What do you
think about golf?
I enjoy golf.
Right. Do you like him more than Stafford?
Here's what I'm... Okay. Golf is playing well.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, Blake Griffin. I'm going to go in a different sport. I'm going to pivot for a moment.
He damn did that, didn't he?
I'm going to do. I'm going to pivot a little bit and then bring us back.
Right.
So Blake Griffin in LA playing for the Clippers, got that big contract with the Clippers, then got traded to Detroit.
Okay.
He came here positive, did his part.
For what, 2 years?
2 or 3 years, give or take.
Okay.
Tried to help the team win. And then once he saw an opportunity to get out of town and go to New York, that's what he did. That's his right. I'm nervous if that's similar for Jared Goff because he was in LA in La La Land, got that big $155 million contract.
Part of a Super Bowl team.
Part of a Super Bowl team with the Rams. Didn't expect to get traded to Detroit. Now, not saying he's not genuine because he definitely comes across as a very genuine individual. He's doing things in the community and so on. But I'm concerned, or I'm just like wondering, like, okay, he's playing well. He's definitely playing well. If he's playing well and we don't win, and I heard through the grapevine that the Buccaneers are probably looking at him when Tom Brady retires officially.
Oh, get out of here.
Look, nothing is confirmed.
Right.
We're just having a little chit chat right now. So
just you, me,
and
millions of people.
And the millions and millions of watchers on this podcast right now.
Right.
So it's sports chatter.
Okay.
But it's just like but you don't want him to leave. If he really gets back to where he was at one point, you want him to stick around.
Right.
That's the hope. And honestly, you want him to work out in Detroit because he's a fairly young quarterback. He's 26, 27.
Right.
He has a lot of run left in him.
Yep.
And the way he's playing right now, if he continues that progression, then we have something.
Right.
So you have your quarterback, a young quarterback who you can build around, and you don't have to waste another draft pick on pulling a quarterback from college and then hoping he becomes the future in 10 years, and then we'll see what happens. So, yes, I like Goff. Do I like him more than Stafford, to really get back to your question? That's a tough one. I'm going to say I'm good with Goff.
Okay.
I'm good with Goff because if he gets to where we think he can be on top of the draft picks we got, hey, the Rams, they won their Super Bowl. That's all good.
Right.
And so far, early in year 2 for Stafford with the Rams, it's looking a little vintage here and there.
Right.
He went to LA last year and lit it up. He won it. He showed that it wasn't all him. It was the organization as well.
Yeah.
But these past few games, there's been a little and he didn't look hot last night against the 49ers.
Okay.
It was bad.
Okay.
It was real bad. I stayed up to watch that game. That's why I'm tired. I watched it, and then I got up at 2 a.m. to go to work.
Okay, so this is what I like to share with those that actually listen to this podcast. Why are you so enthused about the game of football?
Oh, me?
Right.
Well, I played it in high school.
There it is.
Okay, yeah.
You actually played.
Yeah, I played football.
Yeah.
It's a gritty sport. Man up.
Right.
It's just that kind of mentality. It's a team sport. It's a man sport. It's a physical sport because you have some ladies who are
I just saw this
who are starting to
playing.
like okay.
I think she's out of Royal Oak playing.
Yeah. So it's a physical sport. That's more appropriate to say.
Yeah.
And you have fewer. Here's what I really appreciate about football. You have fewer games.
Okay.
Every game matters. Not that it doesn't matter in basketball or baseball, but in baseball, you have 160 plus games. In basketball, you have 82 games. In football, now you have 17 games, half at home, half away. That one game, if you lose, depending on how the season shapes out and how many teams are winning and losing, etc., that can cost you a postseason opportunity.
Okay.
It matters.
Okay.
Every game matters.
Yeah, I see. I just learned a whole lot in just that 5-minute session that you gave me, right? Because I don't watch sports like that.
I got you.
You know, every blue moon, I watch the games that matter. I've gone to a few Red Wings games, and that was mainly because of the brothers that we now have playing for the league. You know, I heard that there was a lot of talk about how they were being treated when they came onto the ice and everything. Never ever thought about going to a Red Wings game. And all of a sudden now I love it. Absolutely.
Oh, and it's a great experience. Going to see our Red Wings play.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep. So definitely you're going to be watching the Lions in this upcoming. Who do we play this next week?
Next Sunday, this upcoming weekend, we play the Patriots.
Okay.
And I did say it on the air. We have to beat the Patriots.
Okay.
Here's why we have to beat the Patriots. Do you recall the name Matt Patricia?
Who is she?
He.
Oh, okay.
He is the coach that the former GM brought in after Bob Quinn, the former GM, fired Jim Caldwell.
Okay.
Jim Caldwell, do you recall him?
Who is she?
Stop it. Stop it. Jim Caldwell was the coach before Matt Patricia.
Okay.
Jim Caldwell was in Detroit for 4 years. Did he win a Super Bowl? Did he win playoff games? No, but the team respected him, and they had a respectable image.
Okay.
They got in the playoffs a few times. His last season, they were 9-7. Bob Quinn fired him after a 9-7 season because he felt he wasn't aggressive enough, whatever the case may have been. And Bob Quinn said, oh, we are more than a 9-7 team. Well, ironically enough, he pulls Matt Patricia. Bob Quinn pulls Matt Patricia from New England as the defensive coordinator and hires him as the head coach for the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
And in Matt Patricia's 3 years, guess how many games he won as a total in 3 years?
5.
9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
But hey, we were more than a 9-17.
Right.
So new regime comes in. The owner fires Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. They're gone. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they're in. And so Matt Patricia leaves Detroit, goes back and gets his old job in New England. That's why we need to beat New England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because he came in and ruined what was already established. That's part of the reason why Stafford got out of town.
Okay.
Because at the point of his career, why I keep going through restart after restart, which made total sense for him. He's in his mid to late 30s. He's in the prime of his career. I'm not about to go through a whole new regime reboot.
Yeah.
That's why he went to the Lions and said, can I be traded? Like, you guys are about to start fresh. I understand. But I'm beyond that. I've gone through that process 2 or 3 times already.
Hey, guys, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Trade me off.
Yeah.
And let me go.
And
to the Super Bowl.
So it worked out on his end. And if we can become a winning organization with golf and those draft picks, then it's going to work out on our end as well.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Just the mere fact, like I say, everyone shows up to support. That is definitely a plus for the organization. I look at it, and not to, rattle on about it, but I seriously look at it as though, teams need opportunities just like people. Sure. A lot of the student base that we have at DSDT, we're talking about they're in the second phases of their lives. And when you're looking at the Detroit Lions, everyone doesn't support them. They don't rally around them. They always have something negative to say. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people. And so for the individuals who we service at DSDT, you get the same thing. I am the guy who's going to show up for you, rain, sleet, snow. I love the fact you are an underdog. I want to be the person that encourages you. I want to support you at every junction, just so that, at the end of the day, I can be the guy I told you that he was going to do it.
I told you,
And so the Lions, I'm saying that, I don't know, give us another year and we'll be a contender for at least the conference playoffs, right?
Okay.
At least. Right? I don't know if we go to the Super Bowl. Well, I'm not going to go that far, but we'll at least be for the conference.
NFC Championship game. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Contender for the NFC Championship.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right.
Progression.
All right. With that being all said, so we want to bring on our good friend Amber, right? So we have Amber, who's going to be bringing some tech news with us again this week and giving us some updates. Now, if you remember last week, she gave us some of those tips for TikTok.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've implemented them, but Again, I haven't posted on TikTok. So.
I'm still a late bloomer when it comes to TikTok.
So, well, let's bring Amber in so she can give us some more of these tech news updates. Why don't we? Amber, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Amber. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well. How you guys doing?
Good. Okay, so yeah, Carlos just made a good point. You broke down TikTok for us last week. Now, this week, let's start the conversation talking about Instagram, where Instagram has done something amazing.
Why do you say that?
This is amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Where Instagram has stopped chopping up your videos and your stories that are less than 60 seconds. This is beautiful.
Okay,
it's a beautiful
you giving us
thing.
such a segue that I want to know, why are you saying all this before she even tells us why? So are you a story poster?
I am.
Okay, so
I am.
And
it has been so irritating because it can be choppy at times. Amber, yeah, Carlos, you're right. Let me shut up. Let me step out of the way. Amber, do your thing, love. Do your thing.
So Instagram is continuing to prioritize videos, and part of that is, lengthening that what was formerly 15-second clips in your stories. You can now record a full 60 seconds without interruption to upload to your stories. For some people, like Josh, they love it. This is amazing. This is great. For others, like myself, it's kind of annoying because I like tapping through the stories. So now, where I would normally be able to just tap through those 15-second and decide what I want to listen to, I have to either commit to the 60 seconds or just miss out on whatever was being said completely until the next story. So yeah, for a lot of people, it's really great. I mean, they're doing a lot with the different videos and the lengths of the videos, where anything under 15 minutes now they're pushing to reels. But now they're also lengthening the story video, which kind of blurs the line between a story and a reel, because they just increased the length of a reel from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. But yeah, they're continuing to play with it and see what the users are liking most, apparently.
Do we know what led Instagram to making this decision, where people just fed up like, hey, our videos are too choppy, we don't want to tap? Or
I think it's also the competition with TikTok. They are in a fierce competition with TikTok right now, and the ability, they know that that's something that a lot of people didn't like, was the choppiness of those longer videos and the stories. Like, people are telling stories or including you in on something, and 15 seconds for a lot is just not enough.
So if I am using Instagram to its fullest potential, should I be posting in stories on a regular, or am I okay not posting at all?
Absolutely. Stories, even if you don't post on your main feed, and this is what a lot of the Gen Zers do, or the younger generation, is that you might not see anything at all or very little on their actual feed, but they're posting in their stories. They're posting in their stories every day. And I think it's good, because if people are trying to find out more about you or your brand, and they go to your post, to your page, and you don't have a lot on there, but they see that you're on your stories, they're going to watch your stories. So it's kind of like a tricky way to get people to engage with you.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe I may try posting something in stories.
You should give it a crack.
I'm just saying, I don't spend a whole lot of time posting on other platforms outside of Facebook, and maybe that just tells you I'm old, as and I just don't. I do a lot of platforms surfing, but not necessarily a lot of creating and posting. So I maybe I ought to don't allocate maybe 30 days to just doing just that.
Well, here's the one thing, and Amber, I would like to get your thoughts as well, of course. One thing about stories is like when you're posting something on your actual Instagram page, you want it to be meaningful, you want it to be impactful, you want it to have some fire, like some juice behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Stories give you more of an opportunity to just post whatever is on your mind.
Right.
Whether it's a song you're playing, a moment you're in, like all that kind of stuff is cool, but it's not post worthy. Versus stories worthy is you in the moment, right here, right now. And it's just kind of, go ahead, Amber.
I was going to say, Instagram is notoriously an aesthetically based app. And so the things that you want on your feed, you know, it's content that's created versus, you know, how we talked about TikTok rolling out the Be Real competition with like the TikTok Now. And so stories gives you that opportunity essentially to capture your in the now moment. Right then, when you've got something on your mind, a song comes up, something's happening that's exciting, but it's not necessarily something you need to live on your feed permanently, then you can post it in your stories. Not to mention, again, it's just it's directing traffic to your stories versus you might post something on your page and because of the algorithm, no one's gonna see it.
Right. It sounds like what happens to me all the time. Right. So,
Well, you have to be active, Carlos. You have to be active on
boo.
Boo.
Hiss. Boo. I'm working on it. I tell you, I'm working on it. I don't have all the time in the world to be doing that. That's a full-time job.
It
In
really
case nobody ever told you, there is literally a full-time job trying to keep up with all the social media platforms and the activities that go around them, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so tell us what's happening with TikTok, our favorite platform that I don't use.
So TikTok has launched what Facebook users have been wanting forever, which is a dislike button. So on TikTok now in the comments, you can dislike somebody's comment. I haven't seen a lot of people using it. I see them, but no one's actually using them a ton. And I thought it would be much more used, but yeah, dislike. It's a thumbs down. You can either heart the comment, reply back to it, or now you can thumbs down the comment, which is really cool. I love it.
I'm with you, Amber. I love it too because you have some jerks who are on social media. No other way to get around it. And this is an opportunity to call those folks out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of, because the thing is that the person who commented, the person whose comment you disliked, they are not actually notified that their comment has been disliked. And
even better, because they don't know how bad did they look. And sometimes,
wait a minute. They show you the likes, but they don't show you necessarily.
You kind of like
that you got dislikes.
Correct.
Kind of like that a little bit because now the joke's on you.
Yeah.
And they'll find out eventually. I'm sure someone they consider a friend or a relative, etc., will eventually get to them and say, "Hey, you have 2 likes and 200 dislikes."
So now here's the thing. So another caveat is that you can't actually see the dislikes. So the dislike button is actually a way for TikTok to kind of flag comments, essentially. Like if users feel like, oh, that's a really negative comment, or that's a comment that's obviously spam or whatever, without actually reporting the comment. So essentially it just lets TikTok know, hey, this is a bad comment. This is an ugly comment. This is a hateful comment. And it will show less because, you know, TikTok shows comments based on how much engagement they're getting, how much likes they're getting, if there's video replies back to the comment. And those show at the top of the comment feed, whereas the dislike comments are going to fall all the way to the bottom.
So it's more so the TikTok police, if you will.
In a way. Like
monitoring complaints.
It's like the TikTok.
See, we have to make an arrest.
TikTok police.
An arrest on your comments.
Right.
All right. TikTok police. I love that. All right. So what about how did you put it? The other topic that you had this week?
Twitter has a new opt-in feature that basically makes it more accessible for people who use screen readers or people who maybe can't have, maybe they're in like a slow Wi-Fi area or something like that. You can use alternative text descriptions on your images. So for instance, if I were to upload a picture of me, you know, drinking some coffee, I would be able to add additional description to that photo, like sitting by the beach, drinking a Big B coffee, you know, with the sun setting behind me or something, which is going to help, you know, more engagement for people who are, again, either using screen readers, having low bandwidth, so the picture's not popping up for whatever reason. But also, again, it helps with algorithm, helps with SEO, because all of those descriptive words you're using are going to help people find your content.
Yeah. So is this mainly a great installation for those that are in more or less the journalism field, those
I mean, it's a great
news
anyone.
anchors? I'm just asking.
It's a great feature for anyone, honestly, because
Okay.
you think about even, there's a lot of users who are differently able, maybe blind users who are using the app, and they're not going to be able to see the photo, but the photo might be a really integral part of that post. Now you have an even expanded opportunity to provide alternative text which will describe what that photo is.
Wow. Okay. I don't use my Twitter a lot.
Yeah, now Twitter is where I am bad.
I'm just saying.
It's so limited.
I
What,
don't use my Twitter
150
that-
characters?
I don't use my Twitter.
Well, they've expanded it now. You must not have been on Twitter in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. How many characters now?
It's way more now. It's way more now.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll say way more. I don't even know how many. Honestly, I'm not on Twitter all that much myself, but I know it's more than 160 characters now.
Wow.
200 and 280. It's 280 characters now.
280.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Racked on about 80 more.
Yeah.
Good.
When they started out, I remember I could only post 30 words. I'm just saying.
I think it was
30.
100
get really
characters
creative.
the last check.
I remember
Yeah, you do.
I used to create content for brands and companies, and like saying what they needed to say,
Yeah,
professionally, while also like reducing the amount. It was always a challenge.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, Amber, we want to thank you again for coming this week, for giving us some updates in this tech news. You do such a well job. You know that?
Indeed.
Definitely. You sound like you more into everything that's going on in the tech world than those who have tech schools. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right. So if we were possibly looking at connecting with some of the content that you're posting, where can we all find you?
Get Real with AB on any platform.
Get Real with AB. Again, that is Amber. I'm not going to say her last name. Boom. Boone. And we want to thank you again and see you next week, Amber. All right.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week. Wow. She always is a wealth of information when it comes to these platforms.
Spot on.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was a time when I was able to, surf and post and try to understand and grow these communities. I don't do that anymore. I don't do it anymore. And I don't see the need to grow my Twitter account or to grow my Instagram account past the 17 followers that I have faithfully. I'm just saying I don't, but I'm sure you guys may have a need for that.
Yes, it's a need for social media.
I get the need. I get the need for social media. It's just that the growing of the fan base.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a time to sit there and just constantly grow. I don't.
Makes
right?
sense.
All right. So also this week, this is what I kind of been waiting for.
Ooh, yeah. A few weeks in the making, right?
A few weeks in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So, true story. Our guest this week is, how can I say it? He is an actor. He is an activist. He is a philanthropist. He is all of the above and then some. And I've had the privilege of being able to talk to him quite extensively over the last few weeks, more so than I have in quite some time. I don't want to tell nobody that he's a family member of mine. I don't want to say that, because it'll sound as though I'm padding the conversation, but I'm not.
No.
I've learned so much from this person over the last few weeks. And I was talking to him a while ago, and I was like, man, you got to come on a podcast. You got to come on the podcast. Now, keep in mind, he's been in the industries that he's worked in since early 90, 92, 3-ish.
Yeah.
So definitely a discussion that we need to have in relations to where technology has taken it all. Yes. And I definitely know that he has value to bring. So without me buttering up him anymore, let us bring on Dwayne Adway, everyone.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, Dwayne? Good afternoon.
Oh, man, what's going on? How beautiful and pleasant it is to gather together in unity.
Amen. Where are you right now?
I'm in Saginaw.
Okay. Welcome
As
back
they
to
say,
Michigan,
stay
brother.
nasty.
Yeah, welcome
you,
back,
man.
man. Welcome back.
Yeah. So
All right.
good. Come on.
You know, one thing that comes to mind at the moment, I'm thinking about the Oscars last year and just the production. We had a conversation about that, Carlos, you and me here on the podcast.
Technology that was used in order to make all that happen.
Yeah, it was like, wow. Just the evolution. You know, some movies I'm thinking.
Are you talking about the quintessential slap and the delay?
No.
Oh,
You know what?
Okay.
Year before.
I was
I'm
just
thinking
checking.
about wait. I'm thinking about the year it may have been the year before when Regina King hosted.
Okay.
That was the year before, right?
That was the year before.
Yes. I'm thinking about that. With just like, you know, it was just so much production.
Okay.
You know, I think about movies such as, you know, the new Star Wars movies, the new Avatar that's coming out, the new Black Panther that's coming out, just the technology, the CGI is just, it's evolved. I mean, just break some of it down for us.
Well, you got to look at it. The movies that are being made today are considered tentpole movies. There are mega budget movies that are shot with probably a couple of $100 million. Right? So you're talking about Marvel, DC Comics, the films like Avatar, and actually animation. And when you look at that, Hollywood has turned away from making small movies because small movies don't make the money they used to make. So what has happened is the trajectory has changed in Hollywood because Hollywood is going for the big bang. So they'll do an event movie, and an event movie is considered a movie that is not about the characters, it's about the overall event of the story that's being told. And what happens is Hollywood a few years ago, well, probably a decade ago, started seeing that movies like that can bring in way more money than them developing and producing smaller films with probably $50 million to $25 to $50 million movies that only, if they are successful, can bring in close to probably $100 million, $100 million or $200 million. So Hollywood decided they want to do a different kind of business, and they decided they want to, do sequels and prequels and major event movies because they were going to bring a bigger return.
Dwayne, you just hit on an excellent point about trilogies, sequels, things of that nature, where, yeah, you used to have individual films like Training Day, Schindler's List, and now it's all about franchises, where you're about to have Fast and Furious Part 15 in a moment. Like where it's like where Hollywood finds something and they stretch it out, and it's like, woo, movie after movie, and yes, we're guilty of going to see it.
Well, the thing is, Hollywood isn't really creative like you think it is. They only go with proven track record. So if a movie does well, then Hollywood will come and say, we need to make more of these kind of movies. And that becomes relevant at that moment until something else comes out and makes a lot of money, and then they're going to make more of those movies, because creatively, Hollywood doesn't really know what works. And that's the problem now. It's just like Hollywood don't even know if these big event movies are going to work. So they're like thinking, they're in the executive office thinking about, okay, well, where do we go? Because a lot of movies are going directly to streaming.
Exactly.
And not getting
I'm glad you went there. So in the grand scheme of technology, right? Because you didn't have back in the early, at least and to my knowledge, in the early 90s, you didn't have the streaming services that you have nowadays that contend with those box office releases. So in the grand scheme of things, is that better for these production companies, from all of those who are in the biz of producing these projects, from the standpoint of having to ship or shop that around at a larger house versus you being able independently to produce it and get it on Tubi, for instance?
Well, it saves money, number one, with the production cost, because the technology has changed. Things are not shot in film anymore. Everything is digital. And streaming changed the game when it came to the distribution of film and as well as television. Okay. Because if you got content that can be shot digitally, then it can be transferred over to give you that film feel to it and film look to it. And it's easy to develop and it's easy to pass on to these streaming companies. As opposed to...
No, go ahead, Dwayne. Go ahead. Finish your thought. My apologies.
As opposed to shooting in film where you have to send the film out and it has to be developed. And then it has to be edited. The film has to be edited. And then it comes together. And then it can be marketed out to various entities. Even if you shoot in film, you can't take a film and transfer it to a streaming. It still has to be a process in the middle. So what has happened is they cut that approach out and just shot content digitally, so they can transfer it easily to like a Hulu, an Amazon, a Netflix, and it cuts production costs, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, saving money.
Right on. A slight pivot. You know how I like to pivot the conversation, Carlos, just a tad bit. Still on
crossover. It's like the crossover. Like he like Allen Iverson on this?
Yeah, a little bit. Dwayne.
Okay.
One thing we're seeing here in Detroit, and I'm not sure if you're seeing it in other urban communities across the nation, where you have aspiring directors who are making low budget films, and what it's doing is giving opportunity to people in the community to pursue their passion in acting and film making. It's happening here in Detroit. I'm not sure if it's happening in other cities where you have a predominantly Black population in those cities. Just like to get your perspective on that.
Well, what's happening is aspiring filmmakers and storytellers have taken advantage of the smartphone. And the smartphone, the cameras on the smartphones now can give you the ability to go out and shoot content, shoot a film, shoot a television show, shoot an idea, and make it from idea to visual, and you can bypass that, waiting for someone to come in and invest in your production, waiting for someone to give you the green light and the go to make your project come to fruition. But it's just like, now we don't have to wait. If we all come up with a concept, we say, okay, we're going to meet Saturday morning. We're going to use the iPhone. You bring your iPhone. I'll bring my iPhone. All three of us bring our iPhones. That means we got 3 cameras that we can shoot from a scene from 3 different angles on each iPhone, for instance. And we can take that content from each iPhone and edit it into one scene shot from 3 different angles. Right? So it's cost efficient, and it's not like you have to wait. You can go and shoot it. And a lot of people are doing that. A lot of urban filmmakers are not waiting around. I had a buddy who shot a film with all on iPhone, on iPhone 11. And he shot a complete feature film. Because they have so many, what do you call it? Other parts that come with the phone that you can get, like camera lenses and stuff like that. You can get the lighting kits and go out and shoot what you want to shoot.
So I was talking to Dwayne last week, I think it was, and he was telling me, because he does a lot of voiceover work as well.
Mhm.
And you were telling me, what's the name of the platform you were using? Sound something?
Oh, what do I use at home?
Yeah, the name of the real-time vocal program that you use to record your voiceovers.
I use a program called Audacity.
Okay.
Audacity is where I can record. I use a Yeti mic, and my Yeti mic I put into my computer, and then I go onto this app, Audacity, and it's like a home studio.
Right.
And it records. I can record my voiceovers, and I can send them all over the world.
And so, okay, so Dwayne, you've been doing this since what year? You've been in various industries since what year?
I started acting in 1993. I've been doing voiceover since 96. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is the real deal, Josh, right? And when I go to his home and I see his setup, and just the mention of Audacity, these are tools that we use right here in DSDT, right here, and we're talking to a professional. I mean, some might say even a legend in the game who's been doing it for so many years. And the students that we have in-house, they have these dreams, these ambitions, especially the creatives, and they are still trying to break into an industry that he's telling you right now that these are the tools we use. No longer do you necessarily need a big scarlet red. I mean, you might, depending on what type of film you're trying to shoot, but you can use this device right here in order to get your foot in the door. So I asked Dwayne, like, is the technology now affording individuals the ability to get in the industry more so these days than when he started out? And
Absolutely.
Dwayne, you said to me,
I said absolutely, because they now have a platform to be seen and heard. The old school way was, I got an idea. Listen, can I, get some financing? Now, because of technology, the way technology is, it's like, okay, I shot this thing, and I want you to take a look at it, and then I want ownership of it, and I'm not willing to give up ownership on it, and we can do a 50-50 deal. You know what I'm saying? Because you actually went out and shot the content. So it's just changed the game. Like I was telling you, Carlos, it's giving people an opportunity to not have to sit and wait. They can be proactive, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do that.
I like to say that I like to call it permissionless, right? Permissionless. There was a time when you had to go to these big studios and ask for permission to shoot your movie. You had to go to the big record studios, Capitol, whatever, in order to get airtime and in order to produce that record that you had in mind. You don't have to do that anymore. Technology affords us literally not to have to ask for permission to do it. And
you have the resources right in front of you.
Right. I mean, this
resources
device,
are right there.
Just this device.
How about that?
Connects me with. Go ahead.
You talk about the iPhone, but you also talk about iMovie, where you can go in and cut the movie. And then you got GarageBand, where you can put the music to the movie. So you can make a movie. You can make a movie all in the luxury of your own home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dwayne, hold on one second. You can.
Because you can do it.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that you got that, right?
Exactly.
Because you're naming literally everything that we use at DSDT in order to connect our students with opportunities, right? Yeah. Professional. I'm talking about world-class professional here. You have, I mean, not to get deep into the actors' credits, but you have like over 40, 50 titles to date to your name. It's a legend, right? And so at the end of the day, if there was one thing that you could kind of breathe on our student base here as far as the opportunities that the industry is being afforded through using the technology, what would that be?
If they have any kind of talent, and I don't mean that to be condescending, like you said earlier, they don't have to wait anymore because the industry needs you. It needs these students and their skills and know-how. And when I say the industry, every industry, not just the entertainment industry, because if you look at corporations, they need it as well. You know, and when you put it together and say, okay, well, you're acquiring the talent, you're acquiring the skill that is going to be in demand, that's in demand and going to continuously be in demand, then you instill in them confidence and know that the very skill they're learning is going to have benefits later on down the road.
Let me ask you a question. I want to kind of throw you just a quick curveball, right? And I'm sure that you weren't going to be ready to answer this, but I'm going to ask you anyways, because this is what Carlos does. So back in 2015, the state of Michigan came in and they wiped away the incentives for film.
I was avoiding that one, but
right?
there you go, Carlos.
But I got to ask this question because I don't want to, but I just want to get your perspective
absolutely
of how much those incentives are needed or are they not needed given the state of the industry as a whole. Just speaking from, you know, your perspective, you come back and forth. I know you live between LA and Las Vegas, and now you're here in Michigan for a number of weeks. But do you really see those as being the ticket, so to speak, that we need in order to usher new business in from an LA, from a New York, for a lot of the creatives that we have specifically in the Detroit market?
I think that Jennifer Granholm, is her name?
Yep, Jennifer Granholm.
Jennifer Granholm,
but it was Rick Snyder who wiped away the incentives.
I was going to go there.
Yep.
Jennifer Granholm, she was advocating for Detroit and surrounding areas, because it was not just Detroit, it was Michigan, period, to advocate for films and television shows to come to Michigan to be shot. So they offered I think it was a 35 to 40% tax incentive to have productions come here to shoot, and they had to go and they had to hire a certain percentage of local crew and cast members. And that worked until Governor Snyder, is it Governor Snyder?
It was.
Governor Snyder got into office and did away with it. And he said that he didn't see any advantage in extending the tax incentive because a lot of the productions that were coming here weren't contributing to the economy in Michigan. So he deaded it. And what happened is, every time when you have a city who has a tax incentive, because the tax incentive becomes competitive. Okay, so you have Louisiana, you have North Carolina, you have Atlanta, and you have some of the smaller hubs, Chicago, and also Michigan. And what ends up happening is they compete by giving the best tax incentive package just so that more production can come that way. And with Atlanta being a good hub, and with Tyler Perry being in Atlanta, being an advocate for Atlanta film production, Atlanta took away film production from New Orleans, film production from New Mexico, and shut down North Carolina.
Wow.
So Atlanta became Hollywood of the South, as they call it now. You know, where there's a tremendous amount of production going on down there, and it's probably third behind LA and New York.
Wow.
Oh my.
Wow. So
You know?
so how does Detroit if we were to potentially tap into that, how would you propose that our state representatives actually, whether they take a look again at the incentives, or do you even think that's of value when you're talking about bringing some of that business back to Michigan?
Well, you have filmmakers in Detroit making films, but you want to have the ear of the studios willing to bring full production to Michigan, because that's when you really see the advantages of having the tax incentive. So,
guys, I think about one show. Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
I was saying that, you look at BMF. BMF was
You read my mind. You read, brother. You read my mind.
You can.
You have BMF. You have some smaller movies coming, and it opens up to the idea of, Michigan. Michigan is a great place to shoot stories, especially when it comes to blue collar or like manufacturing towns and stuff like that, urban stories. Yes. So there is a place for Detroit and film production.
Yeah. And I want to hit on BMF. You nailed it right there, because that is a show, and much credit to 50 Cent for telling the story, but to also doing as much as possible to have some of the filming in Detroit, where I caught up with them for season 2 of BMF. They were at Al Wassam's store in Dearborn, and I saw Lala and the brother who plays Southwest T in the show, and they're inside the store. It's kind of, they're shopping around, they're doing their thing, and you have the family, Big Meech's mother and sister in the background watching the production, having input as well. And it's like, this is a project in particular where if we had these incentives, all of season 1, all of season 2, maybe some of season 3, based on the story, would have all been shot in Detroit. I mean, those are local dollars right there. That's just one show alone.
Right.
Before they went to LA and Atlanta and so on.
Yeah.
The core of the show is like
Detroit.
In Detroit.
Yeah.
Southwest Detroit.
Yeah. I'll give you a great example. And the great example of that is The Chi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. The Chi production is based out of Chicago. It's been that way since the beginning of the first season. And Chicago doesn't have the best tax incentives. But where you going to go with a show called The Chi other than Chicago?
Ooh, you made a good point there.
That's real. That's real talk.
How do you shoot BMF anywhere but Detroit?
Exactly. And even though you may go to Atlanta because part of the BMF story takes place in Atlanta, and you may go to Los Angeles where Southwest T was living, it still doesn't take away from the home production of, BMF is based out of Detroit. You know what I mean? Because you can always have it go back to Miss Lenori's house. You know what I mean? They in Atlanta, they're in LA, but then they come home to see mom, or dad passes away, or whatever. It can always connect back to Detroit, because that's where these brothers are from, River Rouge.
They went back to the actual house where the Flannery family grew up.
Exactly.
It's like, stuff like that. You can't beat it. And that's what makes that show in particular so great, because you had the Detroit flavor within the show.
Yeah.
You see the streets, you see the clothing, you see the food. When oh man, what's up, brother man's name? Oh man, the villain. Darn it.
I forget his name. He's British. He's British, right?
And he's a hell of an actor.
Yeah.
But the first scene, he walked in and said, "I want a loose burger, some chili cheese fries, and whatever." He's like, "No, man, the hood, man, we don't change things around here, man. You keep it loose burger. What are you talking about?" And then he flipped out and did what he did.
Right.
But just those nuances, when you're able to add that to any project, I mean, that You know, I mean, you know more better than us. I mean, that makes it.
I just think that, like coming from Michigan and knowing the culture of Michigan, that we have our own thing, but we're really underrated and under the radar. Because, other than the Pistons winning the championship in 89 and 90 and 2004, you know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah.
Or being able to say, what up, though? You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, well, what is Detroit all about? What is the culture in Detroit? Okay, there's a million stories in Detroit. Stuff is happening, has happened and happening all the time in Detroit. But these stories have to be told. And they have to be told in a way that it captures the culture, the essence of the city. You know what I'm saying? People need to know Detroit, Woodward. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they need to know Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though they ain't never been to Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, 125th and Uptown, right?
Yeah.
And you may never been to New York, but you know where that is, and in New York. So it's haven't been anything that really captured the culture of Detroit. And there's a million stories out of Detroit, and it's stories. It's not just urban stories. If you really want to tap into it, you know what I mean?
Oh, true.
And when you tap into it, then creates the opportunity for them to say, okay, there's stories in Michigan. There's stories out of Michigan. Did you know that Jerry Bruckheimer's from Detroit?
Say his name again?
Jerry Bruckheimer.
I did not.
See? Did you know that Courtney Vance is from Detroit?
That I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Okay. So,
yeah, I mean, where do you begin? Where do you end? You make excellent points where you just have so much value here, so much history, where it's not told enough.
Yeah,
it's not told enough.
Yeah,
it's under the radar, and it goes to saying like Axel Foley. Remember Axel Foley?
Yeah.
They shot some of that in Detroit. So Detroit is appealing to Hollywood, but taking the tax incentive away, it's kind of going back to where we started, taking the tax incentive away makes it really hard for Hollywood to say, okay, let's take this production to Detroit and keep it there.
Yeah. I agree 1,000%.
Because although it's appealing, we're still leaving California and coming to Michigan from their point of view.
Yeah, but the thing about it is
we don't look at it that way.
It's about saving dollars, bro. And bringing production to Michigan, because I think they shot a series here. I don't know
187?
No, it wasn't 187.
Detroit 187?
I forget the name of the show. It was on Showtime.
Okay.
It was about this guy. He was like this male prostitute, and he had a female pimp. But it was like on a whole nother level. I gotta look it up, and I'll let you guys know. But they shot it here for 3 years.
Wow. On
3
Showtime.
seasons. On Showtime. Okay. And then that was one of the shows that left when the tax incentive was no longer in Michigan.
Oh, wow.
And
so let me ask you a quick question, Dwayne, because I know that we don't want to take up the entirety of your time, and I'm very appreciative for you taking out time to do this with us. I noticed that in, getting ready for us to have this conversation, part of the way that you describe yourself is as an activist, philanthropist. And so I've been thinking the whole time, what are those causes that are near, dear, true to you after living the life that you have these past I'm not going to say age, 54 years. 54
You
years.
make me older than when I am.
Right. So, but what
I do that to him, man.
what are those causes that are so true to you
Mhm.
that you find at this point or this juncture in your life that you find yourself as identified as that activist?
I realize that when you do something like entertainment, you're given a platform. And that platform comes with also having a voice and utilizing that voice to advocate change, to bring exposure to disparities and systemic racism in our country, the unfairness of different things that happen in our society on a daily basis. You have a obligation to use that voice to make change. And that's where the advocacy of activism comes in, is using your platform to speak out against these kind of things. Now, the philanthropy part comes in with me realizing that too much is given, much is required. And it's for you to reach back and pull another brother up, another sister up that may be interested, but just don't know how to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is what you try and do is you reach out and inspire and encourage people that they can do the same as you, or do something else that they didn't believe was a part of their upbringing. So you just try and feed them encouragement. And I'm now setting up, I didn't want to really kind of let the cat out the bag, but another thing I'm working with is a couple of brothers in Saginaw. We're putting together a film festival. And what we're going to do is we're going to take local filmmakers, not just in Saginaw, in Michigan, and we're going to open it up for them to submit to our film festival, but it's going to be here in Saginaw. But you can submit from any city in Saginaw, in Michigan, for instance. You can submit from any city in Michigan to the film festival, and we're going to have it here in Saginaw probably next spring at the Temple Theater. And we're going to pick the 10 best, I won't say the 10 best, we're going to pick the 10 top films that we feel will be, entertaining for the film festival. Because that is a way to showcase talent, undiscovered talent, and give people platforms to showcase their work.
And what are some of the criteria for submitting a film? Length and movie, genre? Do you have any?
It's going to be various genres. I'm not holding it to one particular genre, but the film can't be longer than 15 or 20 minutes. It's going to be a short film festival.
Okay.
Right on.
And
good to know.
I'm looking probably to have the winner set them up with a meeting with the Hollywood agent for representation.
Okay.
Right on, brother. What's the website, things of that nature? Can people go to
get more information? Is there a link or anything as of right now?
Yeah, website, anything like that for people?
We haven't put together the website as of yet, but if they have content, they can submit it to daentertainment@yahoo.com, daentertainment@yahoo.com, and we will look at your content and we will be in touch with you.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
That's great. That's great. And he means that, the whole philanthropy piece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a text from him yesterday. He was like, look, you should be applying for these type of business. I'm like, credit, right? And I'm like, Wayne, I already got those. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the mere fact of sharing information with me where so many others kind of hoard it. And that's been the one thing that I've loved in having those conversations with him over the last couple of weeks. You know, you got to keep in mind that Wayne left to go to Hollywood back in, was it 90, 91?
92.
Okay, 92. You know, I was still trying to figure out how I was about to be a young man. And he already had that vision that this is where he wanted to go. I think where was it that you left to go? Was it Atlanta?
No, I went to FAM, Florida A&M, with Kwame. He was my
notice how he dropped that. Hold on,
freshman brother.
Notice how he just dropped that piece in there. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
No, I love Kwame. You know, who am I to judge? He who cast a stone, right? First stone. Right? But you know, I went to FAM, and then when I graduated FAM, I went to Atlanta to go to graduate school at Georgia State. There, I found the theater, and there began my journey into Hollywood. And but yeah, I mean, like it has been a thing of, you know, I've been in the game for a while, and you know, it's interesting because, you know, we were watching Sidney Poitier's documentary at your house the other day, right? And I got a chance to really thoroughly watch it last night, and you know, there's a part in it where Sidney, he was at the top of his game, and he felt like he was ostracized by the Black community because they consider him Uncle Tom, right? And he felt like he carried the weight of African Americans in entertainment because he was the first. He was the first leading man. He's the first Oscar winner, well, first male Oscar winner, leading man Oscar, winning the Oscar. And he felt a tremendous amount of responsibility to that. And sometimes it's just like you feel like you're not doing enough, you know? And you reach a pocket where you realize that it's not about you. Now it's about God has blessed you enough where it's now time to be selfless and share the knowledge to help another brother or sister come up in the game, to help them navigate.
I love that. I love that. See, that's what I'm talking about. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I got Dwayne over here. I got Josh over here. I have Larry back there.
I think Josh right here, he's trying to think of an idea for the short film festival. That's what he's looking at. He's like, oh, maybe I need to take my iPhone out and go shoot some stuff.
He does all the time. That's why I constantly get these Josh Landon TV updates on Instagram, all in my story. Listen, Dwayne, we want to thank you for taking our time to come and bless us this afternoon. I mean,
oh man, it was my pleasure.
You know, and Dwayne has come to the school before when he was here on, and it's probably a couple of years ago. And
yeah, I did casting at your place, right?
Sure did here with our instructors back, Brandon and everyone, and just has been a blessing to us, you know, as we have been constantly in the building DSDT.
Yes.
Want to thank you for all of that, you know, and today is just another one of those candles on the cake, if you will. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to have this conversation with you. I think that it's on point, it's relative. Our students definitely need to hear it. And at some point in the future, this is going to tremendously bless someone. So again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you later on today.
Let me say this, Wells. To all the students at DSDT, is it DSDT, right?
Yes, sir.
Make content. Make content because the world needs it.
Wow. Now that's powerful.
Yep.
That's powerful. Especially when I got this big iPhone 13 Max over here, you know, just make content. And it's relative because I remember when we first started, I used to often, you know, tell them to get away from the cameras that we had here. You know, we have these big television studio cameras and, you know, they were working on, because we used to be a film production institution in the beginning.
Mhm.
And I saw that these devices were just as, if not more important than those studio cameras, right? Because it gives us the opportunity to be able to connect with whoever our tribe is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that every morning at 2:00 I get to the studio and I'm broadcasting to the millions. That you have that opportunity right here every day, you know, and all you have to do, I think Amber said it last week, be consistent. Just be consistent with the content that you create and get it out on a routine schedule so that your tribe can find you and connect with your content.
Yes.
So that's so true. So true.
Yeah.
Cousin, I appreciate you today.
Hey man, I appreciate you, man. I love what you're doing down there at DSDT, and I'm seeing the evolution, and I'm wishing you nothing but the best, man.
Most definitely. Everybody, we want to thank again Mr. Dwayne Adway.
Thank you.
Pleasure, Dwayne. Pleasure. Wow.
Can I get a bomb drop, please? Give Dwayne Adway a drum block. There you go. Give it to him. That's what I'm talking about. That's like Hiroshima.
Yes.
For those of you that were tuned in for the entirety of that conversation, it's one that it's important to have at this time, you know, especially with so much that's happening I don't necessarily just want to pin it and say the film industry, but for all intents and purposes, it is, you know, someone that has been in the game for as long as he has, and to be utilizing technology in the way that he does. I mean, literally, I was at his place on not Saturday before last. And I mean, it really took me aback to see, you know, what he was using and how he had it set up. And you would think, you know, you have these actors and they have multi-millions of dollars in these big estates. I've been to his home out in Vegas, and you know, these big estates, and it's just, you know, they have a big studio and they have this big board with, you know, 1 million knobs and keys on it, but not necessarily the case, you know, and he still is working to this day. Voiceovers, you know, it amazed me. He played some of the content in the commercials that McDonald's, you know, I think it was, I forget the cell company. I say it was AT&T or T-Mobile, one of them. But when I hear the voice, it's like, that's you, you know, and it's just, it's so relative. It's so pertinent. And I believe that our students find value in having discussions and conversations just like this.
And hearing from people who've done it.
Doing it.
Still doing it.
Doing it. Not done it. Doing it. You know, and I say that exclamation because the instructors that we have at DSTT, they haven't done it. They're doing it. Big difference. You know, a lot of times, depending on the institution that you go to, you're going to have someone that did 20 years ago. You know, someone that got their certifications 20 years ago, not at DSTT. Everything is relative, pertinent to the today. So our instructors, their certifications are present, their education is present, and they're still working in the industries that they're teaching you in. So that should, to me, that should say to you that, you know, I would much rather go learn from someone who's actually down in the trenches on a daily basis, as opposed to someone whose information and education is outdated by decades at times. And so for all intents and purposes, if you're considering DSDT, you want to make sure that you reach out to us. You know, you can always go to the DSDT website. That's dsdt.edu. Fill out that contact form, and one of our admissions representatives will reply and possibly get you in for a interview to see whether or not this is the option that really is for you.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff, Carlos.
Hey, listen, hold on. Before we go, Josh, we just got to do this. We got to do this one more time. We want to give a round of applause to our student producer today, Mr. Larry Webb, in the background.
Kept it all nice and smooth.
Right? And because this is what it's about. It's not necessarily about you just coming and getting a bunch of head knowledge. We want to actually have you having practical so that when it's time for you to have a portfolio of that work, you really can show them, look, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so can I get that job? I'm just saying. All right, Josh.
All
I'll leave
right,
it up
man.
to you.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We will be back next week. Great episode today. But in the meantime, that will do it for the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. See ya.